Hey all my foodie friends and family, how you doing today? It's a rainy, dreary day here in Toronto, but I hope where you are it's sunshine and wonderful weather. Today we're going to do an easy beef hash recipe. Everyone in the world has some kind of version of this recipe. My mother always started with a pound of ground beef. I'm using extra lean, but this works with ground chicken, ground turkey, ground veal, ground pork, ground lamb, and it also works with all veggie. So whatever you prefer. I've tried it all ways and it's all good. So in a deep skillet, I put the pound of ground meat. I'm adding a couple of tablespoons of oil because this meat really has very little fat and it needs something to cook up and brown at the bottom of the pan. We want the meat to be all cooked through and brown. We don't want any pink ground meat because you never know how long this meat has been sitting somewhere. You don't know how they ground it and from what in those stores. Unless you do this yourself, I wouldn't trust anything to be raw or rare as far as minced meat goes. So spread it out in a pan. We want to make sure we have all surface area in the pan browning and becoming juicy and wonderful. I'm adding some salt and pepper. You can adjust these seasonings to whatever you prefer. A little bit of hot pepper would be good here if you like it a bit spicy, some cayenne, some hot sauce, some hot paprika. Everything would be good. Smoky paprika would also be good. I'm adding quite a lot of pepper, but I'm not adding a lot of salt because some of the ingredients that we're going to be adding are a little bit salty on their own, and we don't want to overpower this. So there's the meat, fully cooked. There's no pink spots, nothing raw. We're ready to go ahead with the recipe. I'm adding a tablespoon of garlic. And I'm adding a tablespoon of HP sauce. The HP sauce has great umami flavor for meat. Any kind of meat will benefit from some HP sauce. It's got a lot of different spices and it's made from, I don't know what, but it's good. It's delicious on meat. So we're going to zhuzh that around a bit. We want to make sure that the garlic and the HP sauce cook out a bit. Also adding a tablespoon of browning. We want a beautiful color in this hash. Now if you don't have browning, you could also use some Worcester sauce. You could use some soy sauce. If you wanted to keep this totally vegetarian, use the soy. You can use vegetarian oyster sauce if you like. All good flavorings for a nice hash like this or a veggie hash. Just moving the ground meat around to get all coated with all those flavorings. Now I'm adding one carrot, one celery, one onion, a half a sweet pepper, and one potato, all diced pretty small. You ever open up a bag of those frozen hash browns from the store? This is kind of what it looks like. We just want to make some texture in this hash. And I have plans to use some of this hash as leftovers for another dish that's going to come next week, so you need to stay tuned. The dice on these veggies is pretty small, so they're going to cook pretty quick, so don't overcook them. I'm adding, the quantity is kind of difficult for me to say, but I'm adding, it looks like maybe a third of a cup. I'm using concentrated beef broth. If you're using chicken or turkey, you can use chicken broth. If you're using veggies, use veggie broth. All delicious in every which way you can make it. You notice I'm not adding a lot of liquid because I want this to be kind of dry. I don't want it to be like soup. So I'm covering that up and I'm going to let it braise for about 10 to 15 minutes, just so that the veggies are soft and everything is yummy. Now I'm going to add a tablespoon of tomato paste. As you know, tomato adds a lot of great flavor to any kind of gravy or sauce or soup. It has a delicious background flavor that you just always wonder what it is that's making it taste so good. It's tomato. Oops, I just about knocked the camera over. We want to cook out that tomato paste a bit. It does taste kind of raw if you don't cook it. If you guys made a version of this at home, I'd love to hear what you guys do in your recipes. Leave it in the comments. So covering it back up, and I just want it to braise just a little bit longer until the tomato paste is all absorbed into the meat and the veggies. Doesn't it look good? This can be served as is on some rice or with pasta if you make some gravy. It's great on salad. But you need to stay tuned to next week and see what I do with the leftovers. If you like the recipe, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to the channel. Love to have more foodies here. Thanks for stopping by for some more food that warms your soul, and mine too. We'll see you next time.